was that you don't get taller by measuring someone. So it's the same, you don't get smarter by testing someone. So testing doesn't make someone get smarter, but it's got to be assessment of learning. So checking in on the learning. That's the point of assessment. Feedback for you, feedback for your student, feedback for each other. So I just want to briefly touch on this one here, on summative feedback and formative feedback. Are you familiar with those terms? Some of you? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so formative when the chef tastes the soup, summative is when the guest tastes the soup. And very often what we do in TAFE is we do summative feedback, don't we? It's at the end of the unit. You're right or you're wrong. Sometimes it's too late. So there is a little handout there that's called feedback that fits. So I just want to talk briefly about feedback as a form of assessment, because you remember on the ADDIE model, evaluate in the middle all of the time. So then if we understand that summative feedback refers to the assessment participants get where the focus is on the outcome, and formative feedback summarises participants' development at particular stages of the learning. So if our focus on this section is on growth, we have engagement when we have growth. So when students know where am I going, the next question, how am I doing? If we can constantly give them feedback, formative feedback to form the learning, then we have more opportunity for growth. So we can use different feedback at different times. Often what we do is we have direct instruction, we teach the task. It's right or it's wrong. You do it like this or you do it like that, and that's it. It's right or it's wrong. And this is often where a lot of training and teaching stays. It's task related, tick, cross, tick, cross. But in wanting to develop students' own self-efficacy and be responsible for their own learning, we want to shift them to a place where we're developing strategies to learn. So rather than me being the person who's running around, speaking with every student in the class and getting completely exhausted and answering everyone's questions, that we develop processes and strategies for students to learn. One way in which you can do it is put the strategies on the wall. And you explained before, Peter, a really good strategy of students teaching each other. There's lots of different strategies to learn, like what do you do when you don't know what to do? So you're creating the process. Until we get to a space where students can self-regulate, which means they can do it on their own, and if they're stuck, then they seek assistance. So praise sort of is actually there but not there. You know, so praise is a type of feedback, but it actually doesn't progress learning. The research is that praise just doesn't, like we saw in the clip, it just doesn't progress. So we need to provide feedback about the task, about the process, and then about enabling students to become their own teachers. That is the role. That's where you want to get them to. So if we're thinking about then how do we get it? How do we know if everyone's got it? How do we know if the students have all achieved it? Unless all we've got is waiting until the summative assessment at the end. And that's too late if they didn't get it. We want to know before then, don't we? This is to do with your understanding. Because if I say everyone, formative and summative assessment, now it does seem like most of you already said you had a good understanding of it, but I'll just use that as an example. So I'd like to check in with who we've talked about formative assessment and summative assessment. If you understand this concept and you feel comfortable to explain it to someone else, you'd be green. If you sort of get it, you're an orange, sort of get it. And if you really don't know what I'm talking about, you're a red. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1 because we don't want peer group pressure because we want them all on at once so no one looks at someone else and feels embarrassed. So I want you to choose which cup indicates feedback to me about your understanding of what is summative assessment, what is formative assessment. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Put your cup up. Thank you. You can hold them up if you like. Green, green. Fantastic. Now, with those, I automatically can understand, and this is just an example quickly, that most people have got it. There's a couple of people who are not sure, which is good that they've said that, because now what I'll do is your trick is I'll say to some green people, could you please look out for an orange cup? Could you please explain it to the orange cup people, because I obviously wasn't very clear. Could you explain it again? So you get that opportunity for reciprocal teaching. If someone's put out a red cup, then what I can do is say, look, people with red cups, would you like to come up the front? I'll just go over that again and explain it again, and hopefully I'll be clearer for you this time. So it's just a way to get automatic feedback. Now, you don't have to use the cups. You can. I've seen it where you've got little red, orange and green stickers on the table, and as you go around, people will put a sticker out. I've seen it where they do like an exit slip, so they take a card, and on the way out, you just make green, orange and red cards, and as you leave today, say, okay, I've just, particularly so with yours, I've explained this complex situation today. On the way out, and you've made all these little cards, please choose one of your traffic lights and just give it to me on the way out. And you collect them. If they're all green, you think, okay, we can move ahead. If they're all red, you go, oh, I better do that again, obviously. Because people aren't going to tell you. See, people are frightened, say when they don't know. So that's one traffic lights is one strategy for that. Assessment as feedback for me, 3 before me is a strategy. Student voice, asking students to tell you how they're going with the learning, or as I said, exit and entrance cards, where at the end of the lesson it can be a traffic light dot, or you can say, okay, today, this is a formative assessment before the big test, today I've explained this to you, A, B, C, D, E. On your exit cards, and you just can give sticky labels if you want, or you can find some old cards like these things. Say, as you go out, I'd just like you to write down what you understood from, what you understand by, tell me some complicated word, I don't know. What's a disability? What do you understand by, what is cerebral palsy, for example? What are 3 symptoms of, or signs of cerebral palsy? So I collect them all, I look at them all, and I go, oh, maybe they didn't quite get that. And it's an anonymous feedback way for me, tells me as the teacher whether I can move on or not. Yeah? So, the other option is you watch yourself. Film yourself. See, today we're getting filmed. Everyone wave to the camera. I don't know that I want to watch this. But one of the highest effects for understanding how effective your teaching is taking a camera, taking a video, taking an iPhone and film yourself. Buy a bottle of wine on the way home and then watch.
Let Julie monitor, edit it for you.
Yeah, that's right. And you learn a huge amount, so feedback for you. Because most times people are pretty polite actually. So we're going to look now at the engagement through self-efficacy. So people are engaged when they feel effective, that they can do it themselves. And someone the other day said, and like I said, I totally acknowledge you are excellent educators in the room, and a lot of these strategies you use, but you know. And one of them the other day said to me, look, I say to my students right up front, this is what success looks like. This is what it's going to look like when you can do this course. And you're all going to make it. You're all going to make it. And it's amazing power in that statement. And he said they always do. And I noticed at the moment there's Indigenous, in fact, I copied it last night. There's something in the paper about an Indigenous program that's just started. I took a photo of it. The belief that you are going to be successful is deeply powerful. And there's a new program, a mentor program called Hoodie Day, AIM, A-I-M-E. Have you heard of that? But this is about mentors with Indigenous older people and younger people. But the belief that you are going to be successful is deeply powerful. So that is the self-efficacy we want to build for our students, that you have the power to succeed. Because our students engage in activities when they feel confident about their ability. So if they're not feeling confident, then they're not going to go down the waterfall. But if mummy goes first, or it could be daddy, but it's probably mummy, the little bears are going to follow. So that's as trainers and teachers, that's what our role is to mentor and to lead and to coach. And develop that stamina for learning, because many students need to develop this because they have backed off so much. So develop stamina to stay at work, to focus, and you can develop this in a whole lot of different ways. And again, you know, everyone loves competition. So if we have the competition to say, okay, how long do you all reckon you can concentrate on this for now? Because we're looking at breaking up the class. How long do you think everyone can concentrate without anyone losing focus? What do you reckon? Well, we know it's 4 to 8 minutes.
Yes.
We know it's 4 to 8 minutes, but someone might go 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Say, okay, and I've actually seen up in Arnhem Land, when I was visiting some schools up there, they actually had thermometers on the wall. And they would colour it in and say, okay, we did 2 minutes today. And then the group starts to support and encourage each other. Don't muck up yet, because there'd be a reward when you get to so much time. So develop that stamina for learning. You've heard of Berry Street schools?
Yeah.
This is one of the key components they teach first to their students, developing stamina for learning. And they, again, when they talk about effort, they talk about you building your stamina. You stayed on task. Well done. So this is what we've been doing today. It's about including students in the learning process. So the students are 90% of the, we want to look at average student retention rates. Sorry, it's a bit blurry here. But if you use a system where they teach each other, 90% of the time they're going to remember it. And we've just heard evidence of that. If they practice doing it or talking through it, 75%. 50% discussion. Doubles the speed of learning. But we've got to make sure the discussion strategies are effective. 30% when you demonstrate, 20% when you've got an audio visual to watch, 10% reading, and look what happens if you lecture them. Not much. Not much. So, and that's what we've been doing today, teaching each other when you've done a share pen, sharing your strategies, practicing doing a lot of discussion. I've been trying to talk, not too much. And a bit of reading, so mixing it up. So notice how in the most effective areas the students are in the process. The students are there. The students are the ones who are at the centre of the learning. And that's the key element, getting the students to do the work. And being their own teachers. And I like this saying, none of us is as smart as all of us. Again, it could be another little poster or a saying for the week, you could say. And you know, there was a few times here when you were doing something together and you weren't quite sure what to do, you check in with someone else. What are you meant to do? How are you meant to do that? Do you remember last time I told you about that guy called Graham Nuttall, who did, for the new people might be interested to know, he put microphones on students over a period of 3 to 4 years and listened into what they were saying to each other. And what he identified after 4 years of listening in is that 80% of the time they learn from each other. Even if you talk for 80% of the time. 80% of the time it's, what did she just say? And I heard you over before. What are you meant to do? What was that word meant to do? That was beautiful. That was perfect. And it doesn't make me feel bad because you were just modelling that's what students do. So if we know 80% of the time they learn best from each other, we've got to facilitate opportunities for that to happen. Absolutely. And that's actually where we do get to the learning pit now. Marnie, you're on.
In the bit.
It's really about creating a language of learning. See, I always think my job is to work myself out of a job, so by the end of the day I'm not doing anything. And then we've got new guest speakers. So thank you.
Okay, so the learning pit's another thing that was done with my children's primary school, following through from Carol Dweck's process of working with children. And the learning pit is a place where they can challenge their concepts and what they understand of a particular topic. So they would sit in a circle, everyone at the same height, so they'd all sit in a chair. and there was no derogatory comments, no opinions, no attitudes towards one another. It was a very respectful space, and a topic would be put forward. It could literally be anything at all. It could be about what they're learning about, it could be a world event, it could be anything. And they would encourage the children to put forward their comments and say what they thought about it, what they understood, what they didn't understand. And basically they wanted them to get to the point of confusion, because when they stop having so many opinions or saying I don't get it, and they get to the point of confusion, they actually start to learn. They start to listen, they take on board other people's ideas and concepts, and I guess challenge their own concept. So the teacher would facilitate but not dictate what happened.
So it's basically creating a metaphor for, thank you.
Good job.
Round of applause for Okay. So the intention is, if rather than someone saying I don't know what to do, you create that language for learning where students go, I'm in the pit. So and it's amazing how it makes a big difference. So it means, I don't understand, this is too hard, I want to quit. And you can, this is what learning feels like. Learning feels like is hard work, and that's what we've got to teach our students. It's hard work, and sometimes you hit the wall. So what are you going to do when you're on the wall? You've got to look at how we can get over the wall, how we can climb over the wall. To say I'll try again. Maybe my learning partner can help me. Because if you leap over the pit, you're probably not learning. So it's sort of giving people permission to say, I'm stuck, I'm in the pit, I don't know what to do. And once you create that language of learning, students are actually amazingly empowered by that. And it's sort of, rather than saying, I don't know what to do, is I'm in the pit. And when you say I'm in the pit, it gives yourself permission to say, I'm stuck, what can we do? And that's where you discuss your strategies on the wall. It's about being metacognitive. What to do when you don't know what to do. And saying it's okay. So, and again, another little mantra to stick up. If you're tempted to say, I can't, have the courage to add yet. I can't do this yet. And if you want to watch the long YouTube clip from Carol Dweck, it's called The Power of Believing You Can Improve. Just Google TED Talks, Carol Dweck, that'll come up. There might be something there you want to show your students, might be something you might want to just, I don't know about you, but I just find reading research books a bit boring. So I'd rather watch TED Talk or listen to YouTube talk. But it's having that power, the power of believing you can improve. That's what we've got to convince our students. And to do that, we've got to provide opportunities for success. We've got to look for success, and rather than come in half empty, that often they might be with a fixed mindset, is look for how to improve. And